On November 26, 1930, a news story was published on the front page of Canada's Meriden Daily Journal newspaper with the title, "Village of the Dead." This news sent a wave of fear across Canada because an entire tribe in northern Canada had disappeared overnight without a trace. Welcome back to Kazi TV Videos. Viewers. A small village called Eskimo lived on the shores of Anjikuni Lake in a remote area of northern Canada. About 100 to 150 people lived in it who earned their living by catching fish from this lake. This is an area of northern Canada where only a few thousand people live on an area of millions of square kilometers, not thousands, and this is because of the harshest climate here. In addition to fish, Anjikuni Lake is also home to other animals in the surrounding area and is visited by many hunters. It was a cold day in November 1930 that a hunter named Joe LaBelle came to the area to hunt. He became so engrossed in the hunt that he did not notice that when it got dark, he had an idea in his mind that as before, on the shores of Lake Anjikuni, he will spend the night with a tribe called the Eskimo. So Joe LaBelle packed his things and started walking towards Eskimo. There was no person in sight and no one's voice. He could only hear the sound of his own footsteps. Although he had done this before, but today something was definitely unusual. As usual, whenever he came near this town, the barking of dogs would be heard, which was guarded by the people of the village. But even today, when approaching the village, there was only desolation and silence. Feeling all this, Joe LaBelle increased the speed of his steps. It seemed to him that maybe the villagers were sleeping or had gone somewhere. Now from a distance he could see the tents of the village, from which smoke was also visible. But even as he got closer, he could not hear anyone's voice. Finally, when Joe LaBelle entered the settlement, he was surprised to see this. There was no man or animal here. To Joe LaBelle's surprise, smoke could be seen rising from the top of some houses. As if there was someone in them, he went to a tent at random, but there was no one there, and so it was with all the tents. Perhaps he would have left without seeing the whole scene, but there was one thing that troubled Joe LaBelle even more. In some houses there were cooking pots on the stove, but the food in them was burnt, meaning someone had kept it to cook for the night, but they could not eat it. Even the clothes that the women of the village used to sew were still there, and the needle was also threaded. But when Joe LaBelle started searching the whole village, he saw that the dogs kept by the tribesmen were tied around their necks. But the dogs had died of hunger, although there was food in front of the dogs, but no human was there to feed them. At one place, he saw a grave dug. Seeing this grave, it seemed that it had not been dug for a long time. He was quite scared to see all this scene alone at night. People here always keep their dogs with them when they go anywhere, but seeing all this, it seemed like this, that perhaps something strange has happened here. Something strange has happened that has forced people to leave so suddenly that they even left their dogs behind. Not being able to eat clothes and even light the burning fire, he could not bear to see all this for long and rushed to the nearest telegraph office as soon as possible. From there, he contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police campus and described the situation to them when the police arrived in the village. So what Joe LaBelle had told turned out to be true. The police suspected that someone might have attacked and killed all the people in the village. But if this happened, if there were traces of blood somewhere in the settlement, if there was no blood, then some things would have been scattered due to the beating. The police immediately launched a search operation to find the villagers. In this search operation, a very strange thing was seen, which probably even Joe LaBelle had not noticed. The whole village was covered with snow, but there were no footprints on the snow. There was only one person's footprints, and that was Joe LaBelle. That is, if no one came and no one went to this settlement except Joe LaBelle, then the people of the settlement went, where did the snow accumulate on the lake? And the boats of the villagers were parked on the ground because there is no fishing in this season, therefore the boats were pulled on the ground and parked. If the inhabitants had swam in the lake or had been killed and thrown into the lake, The ice layer above the lake would have been broken or scattered from somewhere. In the investigation, the police also found that these people, who had disappeared 8 days before they came here because dogs do not die because of starvation for a day or two, and the smoke from the houses was a sign that they had not been gone long, for it was the smoke that continued long after the wood had been extinguished. There were many questions in front of the police, but not a single answer. Always closed forever, and with time, people also forgot about it after 50 years of this incident. In 1984, writers named Roger Burr and Nigel Blundell wrote an article and tried to connect this whole issue with aliens. That when they went to Lake Anjikuni to explore the area, they found a hunter and his 2 sons there. They said that they often saw objects flying over the lake. They had a different appearance and were flying towards the same settlement where the Eskimo tribe lived. And they took all the people in the settlement with them. The 2 writers did not have any concrete evidence of the presence of aliens and their attack. Therefore, most people did not believe it and rejected this theory, after which many people started to make up isolated stories about the disappearance of the Eskimo tribe. But the fact is that this incident has been going on for 100 years, but till today, no one has the answer to the question that the people of Anjikuni Lake settlement. The disappearance of the Eskimo tribe without a trace remains a mystery to this day. You will also like and share this video of Kazi TV. Thank you guys so much for your kind comments in the next great video.